All right, there we are. Let's get ready to paint, everybody. Thank you for joining me in the studio this evening, and I'm going to paint for you this beautiful dahlia. I planted a lot of flowers this spring. I think gardening this year has probably become a lot more popular than it has been in years past. And one of the ones that I didn't get to plant, one of the flowers I didn't get to plant this year I really wanted to were dahlias, but I'm going to paint one now and I won't have to plant one later. So this is my reference image. You can see it there on the side. You can see me down here and my paints that I use right up there. As always, or as usual, these paints here just off to my right hand side are my M-gram watercolors. I'll go through a few of these as I use them. Alan Estrada, hello, welcome. I've pre-drawn out my dahlia. It's pretty light. The camera's probably a little washed out for this, but you'll get to see that as we start filling this in. I'm going to be using a variety of DaVinci brushes. I don't know what these ones are. There's sable. These are sable, and I've got some DaVinci Casaneo brushes here, which are not sable. These are all synthetic, but I'll be using a variety of DaVinci brushes, and I've got a couple of the colors that I want to use here. Right in the center of this thing, there's some nice yellow, a little soft yellow. This might be a little thick, but this is what I'm going to use. This is my Hansa yellow, and I think I'm going to use quinacridone rose. Here is that color for the wide variety of this. And then I can mix that with either a little bit of alizarin crimson or some of my, this is maroon perylene, and get that in there. And down, way down in where these petals are down here, maybe I'll drop a little bit of this olive green or some yellow ochre down there. But let's get started with all of that. I'm going to grab a brush that's not too big. The one thing I don't like about these DaVinci brushes is that the paint comes off of them very quickly. So I can't even tell you what size this is, but it's fairly small. I'm just going to get a little bit of this Hansa yellow, and I've got this right in the center here. I've got a few of these these petals that are maybe a bit more yellow than everything else, and I'm just going to drop some color in on them. To start, I've got to start somewhere. This seems like a good enough place to start, and I'm going to blend that down a little bit down towards the bottom. Let's see, this petal here, I'm going to go around it. It's kind of got some pink in it, and I'm going to grab just a little bit of this olive green and drop a little bit in here and there on some of these, just on the outside of these a little bit. And then I'm going to grab a bigger brush, and I'm going to start painting some more of the pinks on here. Alan, great timing. I'm also painting, you're painting a picture you took of your town in Mexico. That's awesome. I actually kind of feel bad because I love painting my little town here, my little town by the Pacific that I live in. But I don't want to just push my little town on everybody, and then everybody's got to, I'm going to need even a bigger brush. Everybody's got to then see my town and nothing else. But I love going out and painting my town and pictures of my town, things that happen in and about. I think I've painted all of the buildings in my town. All of the ones of any note that are of any infamy, I've painted those. I've painted every beach that we've got here. I've painted half the boats that are stationed here, the fishing boats. We've got a ton of fishing vessels. I do a lot of fishing out of my town here. So that's fantastic that you're painting your town in Mexico. I love that. I love that. I also think that you start to paint an area that you like or something that you like more, you're going to do a better job with it. Not consciously, but just even self-consciously or unconsciously, whatever that word is there. Your body's going to know, your brain's going to tell you, concentrate a little bit more here, do a little bit more there, and you're going to end up with something that's fantastic by the time you're done. I should probably even get a bigger brush than this. I just want to drop in some color, and I'm hoping I can pull this kind of all the way across. Let me do this. And I don't want to leave a hard edge here. I'm going to get the biggest brush I have sitting over here. This one is a Raphael mop brush, a soft aqua mop brush, and it holds quite a bit of water. I can really put the paint down with this one. So I've got a few viewers here now. Anybody who's here, who's new, say hello, or anybody who's here, say hello. If you're new and you have a question about something, throw it out there. I love answering questions. It can be about what I'm painting. It can be about art in general. It can be about watercolors in general. Shoot, it can be about me. It can be about the town I live in. It can be about anything. I love answering questions. And if you don't ask questions, I'm just going to babble on for an hour or an hour and however long it takes us to get this painted. So I would encourage you all to ask any questions that you have. You're painting it since you can't go this year. I wish we were done with this and we could all travel to wherever we want to. Alan, I'm going to assume you can't go because of some quarantine or some limited something due to the pandemic, not for any other reason. That's why I'm saying that. I wish we were all done and out of this. I went into my yellow there a little bit. Sometimes that happens with this brush. I wish I hadn't have done that. So let's hope we all get through this real quickly, Alan, and then you can get back down there and see your town. And if you have any family back down there, that would be fantastic. Let's see. I'm just going to put these on here. I tried to count up the number of things I planted in my garden this year. So I have not only a flower garden or flower garden-ish. I don't know that you would count it totally as a traditional garden, but I also built a greenhouse last year, and I've got all kinds of vegetables in that, herbs and vegetables, not just vegetables. I've got some other stuff in there too. I should go through some of it. So many. I've been so lucky that things are growing for me. I started my whole gardening craze 3-4 years ago after not having had a garden for many years, and I was growing flowers okay till the gophers ate them, or the moles or the voles or whatever they're called. But the vegetables, not so much. I didn't have the right nutrients in the soil, I guess. So I had to do something about that. All right, this looks a bit of a mess, and that's fine. It is a bit of a mess. We're going to fix it. It's going to look better. Sometimes in watercolors, you've got to have something that looks a bit of a mess before it all comes together. Just let me put that back and rinse my other brush here and put it back in the holder. I dropped my paper, and then we can get on with painting what we were going to paint. So I'm looking at my reference photo, this one here. I've got it down in front of me, down here, a little bit larger so I can see it a little bit better. And I've got to work on an area that's a little bit drier. Obviously, this large area is not quite dry, so I can come back into here, and I can see this petal got quite a bit of pink on it. So I'm just going to put some pink right back on the outside of this one. Just a little. I don't need a whole lot on it. Alan, what are you saying? On Monday, I'm going to a baseball game and to paint the Coliseum. Wow. That's awesome. What game are you going to see, may I ask? Giants? A's? Semi-pro? Maybe it's not even them that you want to see. What game are you going to see? And I'm going to grab just a little bit of my ochre over here while I do this. And I've got a couple of these that are a little darker down at the bottom. I'm just doing this to add a little bit of dark into a couple of areas here. Not very much, and I'm not going to push that around too much. I'm going to let the paint do what it wants to do there. Now you can see some of this around the outside is Coliseum. You said Coliseum. That's got to be the A's, right? Giants play in AT&T Stadium. That's not the Coliseum. I don't know. Maybe I'm not right. I've got some nice tea here. It's been a long, day. I need a little bit of tea to get me through. Okay, I'm going to re-up my quinacridone pink here, and I'm just gonna start somewhere. You have to start somewhere, and I'm going to look at my reference photo and kind of find out. I don't have it drawn exactly like that one, but one of these leaves down here, this one, let's say, is a bit darker. All of the ones kind of that are in the back are a bit darker than the ones in the front. I'm going to start building up some color in here. Not so much that I'm going to darken it right away, but a little bit of color. And since I'm here, I can start to put in some of the lines, some of the vein lines in here. I'm going to smooth a lot of this out. You'll see what I'm talking about. Triveni from India. Hello, welcome. What time is it in India? Sorry, it's Sunday. It's A's versus Giants. Alan, now we're talking. Let's see, I've got a couple of stripes on here. I can put that paint on a little bit and blend it back. And I can kind of get a little bit of that, as long as it's a little bit damp. I can just run a line or two out there like that. Maybe I didn't have it mixed quite strong enough a second ago. There we go. Hello from Michigan. However, I should be sleeping. Carol from Michigan. Carol, where at in Michigan? I've spent many a day in Michigan running around your state. I've been everywhere. I spent a year in West Michigan. I've got all kinds of relatives from around the Detroit and Flint area. I used to spend a lot of my summertime up in the UP. I love the UP. UP is one of my favorite places. I don't know what it's like now, but it used to be the land that time forgot. Almost literally. One of the things I really loved doing growing up was 30 minutes northwest of Detroit. One of the things I used to love to do was drive across the Mackinac Bridge. That was my favorite thing to do as a kid, because you could look out the window and look down in the road bed. It was grading material. and you could see the water underneath you, and plus it made kind of a cool sound when you're a little kid. Let's see. It's 8:44 in India right now. Wow. I finished painting a rooster yesterday. My tutorial. Oh, good. Oh, I'm glad my tutorial helped somebody. That's great. My wife keeps telling me how to paint my chickens. I love my chickens. My chickens are fantastic. They're asleep already, but they're fantastic. All right, I want to get I got a little too much color on this petal out here. I don't want quite that much color on there. I want the water to do a lot of the work here for me. Let's see, 30 minutes northwest of Detroit. Of course, if you were northeast of Detroit, you'd be in, well, I don't know, you'd be north of Windsor probably. And I remember we would, well, let's see, I'm going to try to remember here. We would drive from my home, I grew up in Ohio, across the state and into Michigan on our way to the UP. And I think we would get on 21. Is it 21 that goes up through the state? Up through, well, geez, I remember it going up through Grayling and up to the bridge, and then it turned into M something else up there. Scary to drive over that bridge since the Yugo went over. Oh, I didn't know a Yugo went over the bridge. Jeez. Maybe I shouldn't have been leaning out so far as I went over that goofy bridge. I love that bridge though. It's so interesting. Let's see. So I'm just kind of darkening up the area. These are the petals that are way back in there. So I want to get a little darkness on them just to show that it's underneath there. It's 23 that goes up. Okay, we would get, oh God, do I have this right? We would go through Flint and then up to Grayling, but on the outskirts of Flint, nobody will know this except for Carol, if I'm right about it. we would stop on the northern side of Flint at Wally's, and we would get a coffee or a soda or a beverage and a snack, whatever we wanted, and that was it. We'd refuel, and our next stop was at the bridge. Was at that bridge. That was our next stop. We always stop at a little truck stop up there, and then on 75. Okay. And we'd always stop at a little truck stop up there at the bridge and get I don't know how it got to be a tradition for us. We always get a wet burrito at the bridge up there at that whatever the truck stop was. I don't even remember. And then on the way home, just before the bridge, we would stop and get some smoked whitefish up there, and that would sustain us for most of the ride home. Oh, and that smoked whitefish was so good. All right, that's my trip down memory lane for the evening. People are bailing on the video. we don't want to hear what he used to do in his childhood. Maybe you do, I don't know. And then we just kept right on going. We had a cabin in Schoolcraft County. I don't know, 15 miles outside of Munising, up there, something like that. Beautiful, beautiful area. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, starting to get a little definition on here. If I'm moving this around too much or something, just let me know. Somebody holler at me, and I'll try to stop. Even sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. Just looking at what I need to do here. Get on to this next one. I'm gonna try to stay over here somewhat. I'm trying to look to see where my lines are. I don't know. I'm gonna go. I'll just keep going around here. I've learned over the years, and I'm trying to do it right now, that you paint as much on the left-hand side of the the dahlia, as I can, whatever the painting is, as I can, because if I get this side wet, I can't go back to that side because my hands will be in the way. A little too much color on that one. I don't want to put a full amount of color right down there at the moment. But I don't want it to dry out too much either. There's a nice shadow from the petal above it right there. I think that in the Discord channel, I think I had promised last week that I was going to paint a bug this week, and obviously I'm not painting a bug. I couldn't find a bug that I wanted to paint. I would have been happy to paint one, but couldn't quite find one that I wanted to paint on here. And then I came across this picture, and I went, this was fantastic. I love this picture. I used to work with a woman who had giant dahlias growing wild in her. I'm going to say they're growing wild because she neither planted them nor took care of them, but they kept coming back all the time. Giant. They were as big as dinner plates. I mean, they were huge dahlias. Just absolutely massive. It's not too late here. I'm going to put on a couple of lines here, something. Alan says, do you use a chamois to dry your brushes instead of a napkin? Here's what I have. It's pretty disgusting. I have a chamois, and I have some sponges underneath it, and you can see they're pretty disgusting. And I just have it in, I don't know what kind of a little plastic thing here. And I set that to the side, and I tap my brush on it, and then I've typically got a pad of paper somewhere around, or a paper towel around somewhere else too. So the chamois takes off quite a bit of water, and then any fine tuning that I need to do, I'll do it by hand with this. And I've got several more up here in various states of use. I just let them dry out, and just keep using them. Unless I'm blotting on a clean sheet of paper, I don't really need to throw them out. They're just going to sit here and they're just going to tap off a little bit of water for me, so I reuse them. And then once they get too bad, then I use them to clean my palette with. So when I clean this off at the end of the night, then I'll take my oldest rag and I'll clean it all off, and then everybody gets moved up in the rotation one. And that's how I do it. But I do have a chamois. I probably take it out every couple of months to wash it. I should probably do it more often than that, but it's there. Great question, by the way. That is a great question, and it's something that we all take for granted. Do we need to have something to to dry our brush off. I suppose if you're that good that you can wet your brush only the amount that you need it, then we wouldn't really need to do that, but most of us aren't that good. And let's see, now's when I need to start worrying about going back over the top of these. I don't want to get my wrist in these ones that I've just painted now that I've done basically a clock around here. But I'm gonna come all the way back over here, and I'm gonna start on some of these petals over here. I have a line here, but it looks like a pretty thin petal that I'm looking at. And I'm going to put in just a bit of alizarin crimson in with this. I'm going to darken this just ever so slightly. And I'm going to look in here and see, I'm looking at my computer down here to see how I want to do this. Actually, I should probably make just a bigger pool of this, and then I don't have to keep going back in and going back in. I'll just have it. Let's do that. Why wouldn't we do that? Okay, I'm going to come way in here. I'm looking at this petal. And I'm trying to see where it's way in there and where it's not. And I'm going to try to put my darkest areas in here and then blend this out. Now this is going to be interesting because my table is slanted towards me. And so how am I going to get this paint not to run down a little bit? That's a good question. One I'm asking myself right now. All right, Carol, I hope to paint more once I retire. So do I. That's great. I hope I can paint more once I retire. I'm nowhere close to retirement, but if I could do that, it would be awesome. It would be nice to. The good thing about it, though, is that, watercolors will do whatever you want. If you want to paint for an hour, watercolors are happy to work with you for an hour. If you want to paint for 10 minutes, watercolors will work with you. Easy to set up, easy to take down. That's one of the things that drew me to watercolors very early on, is that whatever I was going to do, my materials were going to be there with me, and they weren't going to impact it all that much. And I've kind of painted like that a lot. I'm gonna have 10 minutes to do something. I'm gonna have 15 minutes to do something. What can I get done? Okay, I think I can do a little bit here. I think I can do a little bit there. And I've got, I look over here. I have some paintings off to this side of me, but in a drawer over here, I've got 10 paintings, 15 paintings that are in various states of doneness that I started. I didn't have the time I thought I was going to have, and I've got to go back and do more with them. Have I tried any new brushes lately? So the newest brushes I have tried, I do love trying new brushes. I will be honest. I've got some. I think you saw the brushes I got from Zen Art Supplies. I've painted with those for a while, and I don't have I don't have a problem with those, but they're not very exciting brushes. I'm sorry, Zen Art, you guys are watching. There's nothing wrong with the brushes at all, but there's nothing fantastic about the brushes either. And I think that's what holds those brushes back. I think when they started making those, they wanted to make a good utilitarian brush that worked for everybody in every situation, and I think for the most part they've done that. But in doing that, right, they God, I hate to say it, they haven't given their brush any real character. When I pick up that brush, I don't go, "Whoa, okay, now that's an interesting brush." This brush is in my palette. This is my Raphael Soft Aqua brush, and I've got a lot of quill brushes, and I started using this one last year, a little before, and this brush has a lot of character, and I like it, and I didn't know that I was going to like it, and so I think that one's got a permanent home in there. The Zen Art Supplier brushes don't necessarily have a lot of character, and then I got some of these Chinese brushes. I guess they're Chinese calligraphy brushes that I just started using, and I got them in a set for my birthday. Is that when I got these? I think I got them in a set for my birthday, and I haven't used them enough to come to an opinion on them. I've got, I don't know, what, 6 of these. You might see me using them. I can't quite get them always to come to the point I want them to come to when I use them, and I think that's a bit of an issue. I'm not sure it's me. Oftentimes it's me that is not using the brush right, so I can't say anything about those quite yet. But those would be the next newest brushes that I have. I have got some new paper that I have used, and it's not bad at all. It's a kind of a budget paper. It's put out by a company called Hippie Crafter, and they contacted me and said would I like to try out some of their paper, and I said sure, I would be happy to try it out, see how it is. And it's very comparable to some of the other papers at that price range. They also sent me a sketch pad. They actually sent me 2 sketch pads, and I like it. I like Sketchpad too. They're both nice. They're both nice. I don't think either of them or anything special. I'll show you what if I can find it. Here's what the Hippie Crafter one looks like. Watercolor paper right there. Hippie Crafter. It's not. Whoops! I should open it up. Do I have anything I've painted in there? It's a rough surface. It's nice textured surface. A nice big sheet of paper. What can I say about that paper? It's nice. I don't have anything against it. But again, I think it's fighting for a place in the watercolor paper market that's not an easy place to be in. It's not a high-end paper, and it's not a low-end paper. It's kind of filling that gap where there are already a lot of papers at. Right? I would say it's very similar to the Strathmore 400 series of watercolor paper. Maybe a little higher in the range than that. It's higher up. It's better than the Canson XL paper, which I don't care for at all. but it's not nearly as good as this paper that I'm using, even though this is hot press paper, but this is Fabriano paper, a nice paper, consistent all the way through when I use it. I just have to remember that when I use it, and I think it's more a quality of the hot press paper than it is anything else, is that the paints dry very quickly on it sometimes and can leave it quite a tide mark on it. And so if you paint a larger area, you're very likely to get a bit of a if I paint a large area over here and then I come over here, and I don't make it back over there soon enough, it's gonna give me a hard edge. And maybe I want that, maybe I don't want that, but I'm gonna get it. On those ones, I'm gonna get it. Now I need to come across. Let's see, where can I put my hand? Alan, I think I ventured into a couple areas that you didn't even ask me in there. I hope that answers your question. I think it should answer your question. Jay Marine says, looking great. Thank you. It's getting there. I saw my picture and I went, okay, I'm gonna paint that. I like that picture. And then I went, well, what size painting do I want to do with that? I thought, well, I can probably do, I don't know, 9 by, I think the next size down paper I have is 9 by 12. And I went, sometimes I think it's a little hard to see on the screen, so I'm going to go a little bit bigger. And now, so this is 12 by 16, and it's pretty big now. And I got to take my reading glasses off so I can see. Oh, I can't see anything. Let's see. That Dahlia has a lot of petals. Not sure if it would have been patience to paint that flower, but interesting to watch you paint it. It's, you know what? I get that. It's a lot of repetition, but you could do it. If I'm not making a video and I'm just painting, really, I just kind of get in the groove for painting this kind of thing and just go with it. And I'll get a call on my phone, or I'll get an email, or my computer will ding, and sometimes I don't even hear it because I'm busy painting away, and I don't even notice it. So, how do you like your Casaneo brushes? I use Winsor & Newton Series 7. Oh, so now you've said a hot button word for me. I have one Series 7 brush, and I call that the Grail brush, right? The Series 7 are some of the best brushes out there, right? I'm going to put this in quotes. Some of the best brushes out there. And they're not inexpensive. They are quite expensive brushes. And I have one. I spent a lot of money on one. And it's a 8 round, 10 round. It's about this size. And I cannot get it to come to any kind of a point whatsoever. I'm so disappointed in that brush. So for me, my experience with the Series 7 brushes has not been positive. I'll just say that. I sent it back to Dick Blick. I sent it back to Dick Blick twice, and they sent it, and then the last time they were like, well, that's it. You can't keep trading out brushes. And I'm like, well, it's not it's supposed to be a pointed round, and it's not coming to a point. It's coming to 2 points is what it's doing. So having said that, okay, having said that, I'm no longer a fan. I don't have my idol worship for my Series 7 brushes that I used to have. How do I like my Casaneos? I would tell you. So I'm not. This is not a Casaneo brush that I'm using right now. By the way, this is a sable brush. This one is a Casaneo brush. This was a little bigger one. I have some sable brushes that I use when I use my DaVincis for a little finer detail, and I use the Casaneo ones for a little less fine of detail. I like them, but I would say this. They're a synthetic brush, and they really tried to get the brushes to hold some water. And it worked. The brushes hold a ton, I mean a ton of water. Almost sometimes, I think, too much. I mean, they hold a lot of water. Can I state that again? They hold a lot of water. If I pull out this big brush, this is a size 10. This is the largest Casaneo brush I have. And it comes to a fine point. It's not all that stiff. It's more like squirrel hair. It's softer. It's not quite as soft as squirrel, but it's a much softer bristle that they have on there. It acts a lot like a mop brush like this. It really does. This one, you have all of the flexibility in here, and this one can make a lot of shapes, which is why I like this brush. This one can't make as many, but man, does it hold a ton of water in these bristles. I don't know how it packs it in there. So I like the Casaneo brushes. I'm using one right now. I like them, but holy cow, you gotta be careful with your water. So I hope that helps. And I hope you have better luck with your Series 7 brushes, your Winsor & Newton brushes, than I had with mine. I could not. So I'm still disappointed. Obviously, I'm still disappointed with my Series 7 brushes. Let's see. Bicycle Repairman saying, looking good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good to see you here again, or read from you again, however that works. Good to see that you're in the chat again. I guess is the best way to say that. Let's see. I'm going to put a little dark over here on this one. All right, this little edge might be curled under a little bit. There's some dark here and some dark here, and then I'm going to let these blend out a little bit. Patty, I see you said something there. I'm going to get to it in just a second. Just let me blend this ever so slightly. It's got some dark areas. Now, mine is already, as you can tell, not looking all that much like our reference photo, and that's fine. I don't try to create one that's exactly like the reference photo. I try to make one that's a good representation of it, that I think will do it justice. I need to pull this dark line. If I pull this dark line right over the top here, just way down there, it will push this other petal right back behind it. Just like that. Pulled it out right on top of that little bit. I hope you can see that. Patty says, that's good to know about the Winsor & Newton. My Winsor & Newton Series 7 are size... Oh, yours are tiny, 000 and 3. I'm looking for a round size 8 that can hold water and gets to a nice point. Well, let's do this. All right, let's pull out my 8. This one. Let's find out what kind of a point this 8 gets to. Right? I'm going to set this aside for just a second. Here's a scrap piece of paper. Let's find out. Get a little bit of paint here. And I hope you can see the point, the edge that I'm getting in here. Maybe if I bring it up this way a little bit. You see it's coming to a nice point all on its own. Load it up with some paint. It does, like the squirrel brushes, you can see as I load it up, it's a little fatter in one direction and skinny in the other direction. So, like, I know this one is a sable. This one will come back to this shape almost always, whichever way I go with that one. These ones don't so much, but you can get a pretty fine line. I'm not the greatest at drawing tiny fine lines with these. But you can see you can get a nice fine line. You can get a thicker line. And you can see it's still got paint in there. It's still got water in there. It's still going. It's still going. Right? It holds a lot. So I like them, but you gotta I do a lot of dabbing off of water on those because they hold a ton. They do. All right, let's get that back out of the way. Let's get our flower back here again. Get a couple colors of our pink in here. I want this, it's still dominated by this pink, but I want some of the other colors to get in here. Oh, let's see. This one, I don't know. This is where I'm already having trouble seeing. I always draw my image, and I look at it every time and I go, ooh, that should probably be a little bit darker than that. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna make everything really light. So I don't want it that dark. And then I start to paint, and this is what happens. I lose all my edges. I guess this would have been great if I'd have painted all of these individually. Right? That would have been the other way to do this, was paint all of these petals individually. Then I really could have controlled where this paint was, how it looked. I could have had a lot more control over the undertone of it, but I don't know, something just told me before I started this, I should just give it a nice undertone on here. And I quite honestly, I think I got the undertone a little heavy on here, but that's okay. Makes no matter. I'm not like a lot of people. I always think watercolors are just something to put the paint on. We can adjust them however we want, really. Right? It's a slightly staining color. It's a quinacridone. It's slightly staining. You're not going to get every bit of it off of here once we put it on, but we certainly can lighten it up. Certainly. We have that ability. And I'm putting it on and I'm taking it off. I have been accused of wasting a lot of paint as I do this sometimes. I'm pretty much okay with it. Let's see, I was painting this one. Just put a little edge on there. I'm just putting that little edge on there because I think that that's going to give us a little bit more depth. I put a little dark on there and then try to lighten it up just on the edge of it. And it should look like it's just rolled over. It's just curled over that little bit. Maybe not everyone needs to be like that, but enough of them. And I'm thinking that I bit off a lot more than I can chew tonight. I should have gone with a slightly smaller image. I'm thinking I got a pretty big painting still to go here. Which is okay, which is fine. If you guys got the time, I got the time. How about that? Let's see, this one, give it a little bit of line down the middle. I think I didn't dip in the right color here. A little darker in here. I'm going to blend just a little bit of this out. There we go. Are they looking like petals, or is it just looking like a big pink mess? Something tells me we're kind of somewhere in between. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to come over and do one here. Everybody's quiet now. It helps with your brushes. I'm glad I could help you with the brushes. I'm glad I had a well, I don't know if you were exactly looking for a Castaneo brushes. I'm glad I could help you with your Castaneos. If you really were looking, or even if you were just curious about the brushes, I'm glad I could do a little demo and show you a little bit about them. See, this has got a couple of lines in here probably. I'm going to make a little dark. Right up along that edge. I might need to pick up the pace a little bit here. All of a sudden, it seems like there's still a lot to go. All right. Any other questions? Anybody got any other questions? Come on, somebody must have some other questions about something. I took up pickling. How about this? I took up pickling in quarantine. And now in my garden I'm growing dill and cucumbers. How about that? I'm gonna grow my own pickles. I'm gonna grow my own pickles. Is that right? You don't grow your own pickles. This is too high up. I think I need to put this down just a little bit. I'm gonna grow my own cucumbers so I can make my own pickles without having to buy cucumbers. Let's see. Yes, I'm definitely looking for Castaneo. Okay, good. Good. I don't think I've had a DaVinci brush that I don't like. I'm not saying they're all the greatest and better than everything else, but I am saying that across the line, I think I don't have one that I don't like. I have a couple of DaVinci mop brushes, which I very much like. I've got these Castaneos. I've got these ones. All of them, I think work really well. I think they, as a company, know what kind of brushes they want to put out and do a very good job with it. Okay, so I'm looking at my reference photo here, and I know that this petal is really light. This petal is really light, and the one I'm painting has it's pretty dark back here. So I want to make sure I get that difference in there. Grow your beets for pickled beets. I actually was at the grocery store with my daughter, and we actually bought some beets to try to pickle. I'm going to say try because the first time is often a mess. The first time is often, I'm not saying unsuccessful, but less successful. But I have beets, and I'm going to try it. Do you have a recipe? Send me a recipe. Point me in the right direction for pickled beets. I would love it. All right. Let's see, this one back here. Pretty dark back here. It goes all the way around here, I think. I'm straining to see this. I can imagine you guys are having a little trouble seeing this. If I need to zoom in here so you guys can see a little better, somebody just tell me zoom in, and I'll do what I can. I do have a little zoom feature that I can use more than just pulling my camera down. This one, I don't know if this one really is supposed to be quite this large a petal or not, but it's going to be that big. Totally fine, totally fine. I can tell it's got a fingerprint or two in it. I should say that's one thing I don't like about this paper, is that regardless of how clean I think my hands are, when I use this Fabriano paper, I always seem to get fingerprints in it. And it doesn't seem as though it comes in as I am doing my painting. It just seems to be there as I'm painting, which means it's probably there as when I draw. And I don't want it to be there when I draw. I want the drawing to be there when I draw. How's that for making sense? Let's see. I think you just sent me a. I'll send you a recipe I use for pickled beets. Add onions to your dill pickles. I think I put some onions in one of them. I started pickled eggs too. I think I've got a jar of pickled eggs in the fridge right now. They're fantastic, which is great because having the chickens means I can do something with all my eggs. My technique reminds me of negative paint. There is quite a bit of negative painting because you want to make sure that what's down deep in there is darker, and as it goes to the edge, it gets a little bit lighter. So I'm just painting around all of these. There's quite a bit of negative painting in there. It's quite a bit. I'm going to turn this just a little bit so I can get around this corner. I always think it's people who claim that watercolors are really hard. And we probably all know a few of those people. Oh, watercolors are they're so unforgiving. They're so this and so that. Are probably ones who have tried it once. It didn't work out real well. For whatever reason. I'm not saying watercolors are super easy. It does take a little getting used to, and you get to know a little bit of technique here and there. But for the most part, I tell everybody, look, if you master a couple of techniques, right, 1, 2, 3, you can really make those yours, and you can really do a lot with your painting if you've mastered a couple of different techniques. Painting around everything else isn't really a technique, but all I'm doing as I'm going around here, I'm just doing it, and then I'm just doing a graded wash right? A simple technique. We all do graded wash. Same thing as I've done here on all of these to test out the color. That's just an old sheet of leftover watercolor paper that I've grabbed to just do some color swatching on. Right? Makes it so much easier. Just do that. Find out what you're good at when you paint, and just do it. Right? Right? Bake that into how you paint. Whatever you're good at, bake it in. Make sure that you're doing that on everything. Carol, I like watercolors, as I don't think you have to be so exact. You don't have to be so exact. It could be. I don't know that I'm the person to answer that, because I don't do any other medium. I do watercolors. Watercolors are, for me, fun and exciting. If I make a mistake, right, you know what I do? Whoops. Okay, no big deal. I made a mistake, and move on. Either correct it on my page, get another page. It's not, in the long run, it's not expensive, right? Watercolors, so much cheaper than oils. I don't know if they're cheaper than acrylics. So much cheaper than other art forms. And you can always go back and retouch old paintings. I've got a box of old ones. I go through every now and again. I look at them. I go, what could I do with this? I either repaint them or retouch them as I see them. You can paint quickly, and yes, in many different styles, you can be much less exact than you have to be. But I don't know that I can really make that claim. I learned technique from artists such as myself. Yeah, and that's a cool thing too. I think we all have learned from anybody now. You're doing any kind of watercolors now. You're learning from somebody online. I learned a great deal online, and this is part of why I'm going to continue to do watercolors on Wednesdays here on YouTube, and why I do watercolors on Twitch. I will readily admit I'm probably not the best artist anybody's really going to see. I'm okay with that. I think I have a very good understanding of watercolors. I know how and why you should paint things this way and that way, and I think I have a great passion for watercolors, and I've been helped so many times along the way that I want to give back to everybody else. And so if I can help somebody else learn watercolor, something that I love so much, then I'm going to do that. Just something that's important to me. I want to what I really want to do is never ever have to hear that watercolors are hard. They're the hardest medium anymore. They're so this or they're so that. I want everybody to be able to pick up a palette, pick up some paper. I don't care if it's Arches watercolor paper. I don't care if it's Canson XL. I don't care if it's a paper bag. I've painted on all kinds of stuff. I just want people to enjoy the watercolor painting, and so I don't know where I'm. All right, I'm not sure where I was going with that. I kind of lost my train of thought there. This one looks a little funny here. I'm gonna put a little dark underneath here. I think this will make it look like this one is rounded. Unfortunately, it's going to make it look like it's rounded the wrong way. It's going the other way. That's okay. That's okay. In my world, this is how the petals of the Dahlia look. Look not a whole lot like. Where's my reference? Not a whole lot like that, but that's okay. That's okay. So, Carol, if you're learning from me, get ready. I'll teach you everything I know. I'm happy to. I will answer any questions you have about watercolor painting. I would love to help you out however I can. Just let me know. That goes for anybody. If you find me online and you message me, or you grab my email address and send me an email, and you go, hey, I got a question about something here, I'm going to respond to you. I want everybody to enjoy watercolor painting. Just let me know. Just let me know how I can help. Plus, you know what? The other thing is, it always feels nice to do something nice for somebody. That's the other part of it. Alan, I went to a garage sale near me, and I found an empty watercolor palette, but inside there were about 32 tubes of Schmenke. Oh, and M. Graham. I bought it for $10. Whoo! Were they? Okay, so you bought it at a garage sale. I've done this. I still go out and look for watercolor stuff. How were the tubes? Were they in good condition? Were they all dried up? I bought some that I'm going to bring these back to life, and I couldn't. They're so dry. I could put them on my palette and just use them like that. But and I bought some that are in fantastic shape. I've got a video. God, it's probably 3-4 years old now, that I got at in an estate sale. God, and I just kept going through the stuff I got, and I was like, holy cow, I really got a lot of stuff here. Okay, so I'm getting close to these last few over here have a little bit of yellow in them. I'm not going to do too much with these yet. I'm looking for all the ones that are just pink here. But Alan, that's fantastic. It's always such a nice nice thing to get a nice deal, a nice surprise like that. They're out there. They're out there. You have to continually hunt and hunt and hunt, but they're out there. Let's see. I looked at all of them and not dry. Still ooh, even better. David, did I draw this first? Yes, I did. I drew this on. This is Fabriano Studio watercolor paper. It is hot press, so it's flat. And I'm not just putting these on my own. There is a little form to my function here. And I can just touch the sides here. This is a 12 by 16 sheet of paper that I'm working with. What else can I answer for you? But yes, I did draw this first. I wouldn't dare I wouldn't dare to try to do this freehand. I mean, I might, but certainly not in a live video. I talk about frightening. Some nights it seems a little frightening just to get up here and paint. It's sometimes tough to put yourself out there where you can easily be criticized, and I'm okay with it. How does it look? Does the video look okay, or is it? Because I don't have a huge variety of colors here, but I've got quite. I can make out all the petals, but when I look on my monitor, it's an orange giant. Orange. It's a pink giant. So I'm just curious. My monitor flashed. That's usually a bad sign. I'm just curious what everybody sees here. I don't know that I'm going to get to it tonight, but this one would be really a good one. I'll work for a little while longer. Where am I at? An hour and 15, basically, hour and 10. I'm good. I'm good to go. This would be a good one to really go back in and drop some darks on the inside of this. Don't be afraid of the dark. Darks are what make your lights light. So if we dropped a few really darks in here, it would really look nice. We'll see what the time looks like and see how I feel as we keep going with this. My favorite color of the ones that I bought by far is turquoise by Schminke. You know I love turquoise. One of my most favorite is colors here. I'm gonna put a little turquoise on this, not on this page. I'm gonna put some turquoise on here, Alan, and then you tell me how it compares. And we'll do a not at all scientific comparison of the two colors side by side over the internet with with your monitor and with my camera, neither of which have been calibrated probably for true colors. Let's see, I'm going to wait for that to dry just a second. Watch this. Turquoise right here. Here's my M-gram turquoise. I'll do it right here. Oh, beautiful color. Beautiful. Slightly granulating. Look at how nice that looks. A little bit more water. Come on. Keep coming out. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Such a nice color. Look at those mid-tones in here. Really nice. Really nice. Alan, how do yours compare to that? Better, worse, about the same? I mean, I know it's going to be about the same, and I know we can't really tell. Let's see. I've got this guy here. This is probably the last of my dark ones. Here. Alan, how many colors did you get in that kit that you just picked up? How many different colors were there? I'm going to mix a little bit of my Hansa yellow here. And I'm going to put some of this color over a little bit, just do kind of a little bit of a glaze over some of these that I think have a little bit extra yellow on them. Maybe a little bit out to the side here. I'm going to actually put a little pink on the inside of this one. Lovely turquoise. That turquoise, that M-gram turquoise is fantastic. I love that. I'm not one of those guys who loves blue, right? For whatever reason, but that blue is fantastic. That's a beautiful blue. It just looks so nice. And I always feel a little bad because I don't use it enough. It's not. I could use it similar to how I use my phthalo, but for whatever reason I don't. I just don't. It's not in my wheelhouse to do that quite enough for whatever reason. On my screen it looks pretty similar, but mine seems to be just a tad bit more green. Oh, interesting. 31 colors. Wow. Wow. 31. I'm jealous. I'm totally jealous. So I'm just curious, Alan. Pick up that too if you've got it with you. If you don't have it with you, don't run out and grab it or anything like that. The M-Gram blue, let's see if I can do this, is made up of PB15 and PG7. What's the colors? I should be good since I'm still working from home. 31 colors. Wow. Oh, Patty, you're saying, Carol, I hope you don't have to get up in the morning because she's from Michigan and it's so late on the east. Yeah, Michigan, you're still Eastern time zone, right? You're the last one. Last one in the Eastern time zone. Might have to go some garage sales this weekend. Look, if you're going garage sailing, come out here. I've got a lot of stuff for sale this weekend. Honestly, I want to just get rid of all of it. But don't expect any art supplies. Just that isn't going to happen. But come on out. I do have a lot of good stuff. I'll sell you all kinds of stuff. Let's see, I never thought of incorporating turquoise into the Blue Jay. Did I use turquoise in a Blue Jay? Did I use them in my Scrub Jay? Turquoise, okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing about colors. Oh, you know what I was going to do? I was going to do some tips on these all in watercolor pencil. Here's my thing on a lot of the colors. Use whatever color you want, but don't use too many of them. What does this petal look like? Oh, this one comes up this way. Right, this is kind of why, and I used to do this and I got away from doing it, and now I'm kind of getting back to doing it. This is why I started doing these colors, right? I want to keep my palette on here fairly simple. I don't want 50 different colors. I don't want to have to look at, my reference photo, where's it at? Over there. And go, okay, I need just this one and get that one in there. And then I need that one. And then I'm going to look at it and I'm going to go, oh my God, now I need this other color in there. I think that would make it look a little different. And then, oh, no, now I need to put this other one. No, I want to limit my colors to, I don't need to do it to 4 or 5. I'm doing it to, well, yeah, I would say probably 4 or 5 is probably a fair amount of colors. But then you can always blend them in. Right here, I've mixed maroon perylene and alizarin, quinacridone rose and alizarin crimson and quinacridone rose. Over here, whatever I painted on this one, cobalt and neutral tint, burnt umber and gamboge, right? Yellow ochre and Payne's gray. So I've got more of a range that I know I can get to really easily. Right? I don't have to even think so much about trying just to get one color in there. one specific color, I can keep them all in roughly the same color family, and more often than not, it's going to work out for you. Plus, then you can always play around with those colors and go, well, if I want to put blue in a turquoise in a blue jay, what's that going to look like? And you can see basically that color as you do that, and then you can go, oh, that's going to work. Okay. Alan says PG 50 cobalt turquoise. PG 50. Oh man, it's not even close. Okay, so I've got this pretty much where I want it to go. I got it. If I'm being honest with you, I've got it pretty much where I wanted it to be like a half an hour ago. I thought I'd get further ahead than I am. That's fine. I'm not going to sweat it all that much. There's some red tops on some of these, and I'm going to use a little bit of this yellow ochre, a little bit of my Hensa yellow in here, because I still need to darken down a few spots in here. And then I'm going to try to, I know I just said, no, I don't want to introduce too many other colors, and then all of a sudden I'm introducing a little bit of extra color here. And just a little bit of a blend here. I do have some hard edges in here I want to keep. But I think just that little pop of yellow in there is going to help out quite a bit. I think that actually helped out quite a bit. Phthalo blue is an impossible color. David, come on. I only like it very diluted or pure, no in between. Oh, see, David, you're breaking my heart now. I love phthalo blue. I love phthalo green. Oh, wonderful, wonderful colors. Wonderful colors. I should not be doing this with neutral tint. That's going to make that too dull. I already know. See, I'm not even following my own advice here. I should use phthalo blue here. Actually, it would make it kind of a wonderful little purple. Let's take a quick look here. This one is phthalo blue. And quinacridone magenta into my phthalo blue. Gives me a nice dark. Look at a beautiful purple in here. And I'm going to darken with some of this. I just want to add some contrast in here. This is why I'm doing this. It's too pink. I need something to break up that pink. And this color is going to do it for me. Right? I've got some shadows on some of these petals. This blue and this quinacridone magenta, going to be a similar color family, right? Or family may not be the right word, but I'm not getting too far away from the magenta. My screen just flashed again. My screen just flashed. Usually when my screen starts to flash, that means my computer's about to crash and reboot. I don't know which color I took here. Let's try this one. But I'm going to phthalo blue and phthalo green for that matter. I have phthalo green here, phthalo blue, both out here. Really are pretty tricky colors. But, and I'll tell you how I came to be using both of them, is I went, well, what did the Impressionist painters use in their palette? what colors did they use? I want to be an impressionist painter. And so I started researching the colors in their palettes, and one of the big colors that all of them had was phthalo blue and phthalo green. And I went, that's really strange, because the phthalos are a wildly strong color. Why would they put that in all of the paintings? And if you look at impressionist painters, oil painters, watercolor painters, doesn't matter, you don't see a lot of crazy blue in there. You don't see all that stuff. What you see, oh yeah, look, see, I put these darks in here, and immediately look what happened. Boom, it started popping some of these petals right out. I mean, right out. You can't have the lights if you don't have the darks. It's all of a sudden, just these ones, look, these petals just all of a sudden, pooh, popped right off of there. So I was looking to see what the impressionist painters used, and I went, I'm never going to be able to use this phthalo blue, never. And I started very slowly mixing it in with some of the other colors that I had, and I kind of went, well, you know what, it kind of works for some of these. It doesn't always work wrong one. Doesn't work in mixing all of them, but some of them it kind of does. And I found out that it mixes really well with certain colors, and I tried to put those colors that it mixes well with on my palette. I think I got a lot of them. I don't have all of them. I probably have some that it doesn't mix well with. But in general, you can mix some beautiful, beautiful colors with the phthalos. But they are a bit persnickety. They are hard to deal with from time to time. And you can see just these few little, all of a sudden we went from a big pink blob. I've put on a little bit of this blue here. Actually, if I put a little bit like that too, it probably, oh, it looks like this one I might have grabbed the wrong color. Oh, this one I did. That's okay. Whatever, we'll go right over it. Like that. And all of a sudden, holy cow, the petals are starting to pop out all of a sudden. This is exactly what we need. We needed these darks on here to make the lighter colors pop right off. Anybody who stayed with me, I'm glad you guys stayed so you could see this. I'm glad I just decided I was going to do this. This is what makes it exciting. We just went from a painting that you would have gone, yeah, okay, it's nice, sure. And now you're going to see one that you're going to go, actually, you know what? That looks nice, because we have these darker areas on here, which totally make the lighter areas look nice. And if we look at the reference photo on there, there are some very dark areas on there. Some really dark areas. And if we really want to put some darks on here, look, this one back here is really dark. Then we can use even more of this blue. Some of the petals down here are really dark. That might really be too much. We'll just put some of this right back on it. There we go. And blend it out. That shadow doesn't come all the way out. But the dark next to the light really should make this pop off of here. And I think it does. Well, I finished my painting of Vital. Oh, you finished already? Hey, post it in the Discord channel. Let's see what it looks like. I'm betting it's fantastic. I'm betting it looks great. Probably looks better than a picture of an old pink dahlia. Well, see now I'm getting excited. I'm painting all fast because it looks to me, the painting comes to life when you put darks on it. It really does. It really does. I keep one of the things I bought a couple of years ago, and I kind of went in on I don't know if I need it. And I look at it all the time. I have it covered up with some cloth right now, so it's going to take me a second to get it, but is my grayscale right here. This is my grayscale. So I want my darks to be in this third, right? I want my lights to be in this third, and I want everything else to be in the center here. So, my darks here, probably in value 2, between 2 and 3. And my lights over here, probably a value 9 in the center of this thing. But if you can get one of those, I think it was $5-6 on Amazon, something like that. It wasn't much. You can get one of those, and you can train your eye a little bit. It does take a little bit of training. You can kind of get those values. And the more you push them towards the extremes, oftentimes the more exciting that your painting is going to look. And I like this. I don't even have to make these this dark area. I don't even have to make this perfect on here. I can just kind of make it so. It's a shadow. Maybe something else is in there too, but it's really making it come alive. Don't you think it's looking so much better now? I certainly do. I'm totally stoked about it. What do we have? Let's see. Is it just me, or does this detail look like a flower from Jurassic Park? Yeah, yes, it's Jurassic Dahlia for sure. Okay, so maybe I missed the mark with the Dahlia part of it, but it's a oh, that's hysterical. And if nobody's noticed, I don't take myself too seriously when I paint. I used to take myself way too seriously, and I tried to make everything perfect. Right? There's that word, perfect. I always use quotes when I say perfect now because I don't know what perfect is. I've come to the realization perfect is a construct that you're never going to get to. And we all think we should, but we're never going to get there. So my philosophy now is I've relieved myself of having to make something that's perfect. Right? I don't know what perfect is. So I'm going to make my version of whatever I paint, and I'm going to do the original item justice by painting something that I think it would think is nice. Right? I'm painting my version of it. Whether it's the quote-unquote right version or not, I don't know, because, again, I'm not looking for the perfect version of it. Come on, we totally see a whole bunch of layers in here now. Look at 10 minutes ago, it was just a mass of pink, and now there's a lot of differentiation in here. Let's see. What will you do with the picture once I'm done? That's a great question. I will more than likely tape it on my wall, and it will be there for a few months, at which point my wall will have been filled and it will get taken down for something else. I've got, I took all the pictures off the wall, off two of the walls in my house when we went into lockdown. And I have filled all of those with watercolor paintings. They're all just taped on the wall in no particular order. I just got done and I went, oh, well, this picture of, the California coastline should go here. And that picture of a bird should go there. And that's kind of how I've done it. And so this one will probably go there. It might go to my office. I don't know. That's a good question. For quite a while, I was putting them all up for sale on Etsy, and then I kind of just stopped for no good reason. For no real reason. If you're painting a lot, you're going to have a lot of paintings around your house, probably, unless you're selling a lot of them. So that's probably what's going to be nice. It would be nice to send one to us chatters. You know what? So it's funny that you should say that, because I've been considering doing that. I have a friend who streams on Twitch, and she has a kind of a monthly giveaway for a lot of her artwork. And in doing so, she, one, keeps all of her stuff down, keeps all of her inventory down, and two, keeps everybody involved and going and whatnot. And so for a while, I've been saying, man, I should do something like that. So Carol, I am seriously considering that. I probably should make a determination on doing something like that sooner rather than later, because if I'm going to do it, I want to announce it and get it done and ready and out there for everybody to take advantage of. So there's that. In fact, I talked to her yesterday about it, how she runs all of her giveaways and stuff like that, and whether I thought I could do it. And the mechanism, she uses a little different mechanism for it, but how I would do it. So, yeah. Erica, hello. First of all, hello, and I really like it. Thank you. It's still funny to me that people are going to, not funny, but a little strange to me that people are going to like my artwork. Sometimes it hits me, and I'm just like, oh, really? Thank you. Because even though I've been painting for quite a while, I've had a while, I should say, where I didn't think anybody would want any of my paintings. And then Well, and then things changed. I think I got better, if I'm being honest about it. I think I got quite a bit better at it. I guess what I really did is I started to try to learn the paint. Not so much the technique. I think I had the technique pretty much down pat. I could do the painting as I'm doing it now. But what I didn't understand was paint. And I think understanding watercolor paint and water and all of that sort of stuff has really helped my paintings. And I think they've gotten quite a bit better recently. At least that's what I'm telling myself. And there we go again. Put my palm right in there. Perfect. Got a little bit more water on here than I want. Now I'm painting too fast. Now I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh, I put a little bit more on. And then I'm like, ooh, that's going to pop that out. And then I put a little bit more on and it's going to pop that out. And all of a sudden, I'm painting quicker than I want. I'll just slow down for a second here. Even though watercolors is an incredibly, or can be an incredibly fast medium, I still sometimes, who else agrees that the painting looks better than the picture? I don't know if that's the truth or not, but the darker color, okay, I'm trying to read with the stuff there. Sometimes it really does happen that it looks so good. You paint it and you're like, wow. And what I like to do when I'm adding darks like this, I don't remember who it was, said I'm doing a bunch of negative painting. This is when I like to do all of my negative painting right here. Just as I'm adding in the darker elements, you can really get away with doing a lot, and it will hide. It will really hide a lot of the problems that you've had. Right? You didn't get into that corner in there. You want to get into that corner. Oh, when I'm using all the pinks, it looks a little funny. I left a little space there. When you're doing your darks, just go over it with your darks. It'll cover a lot of mistakes. A lot of unintended, let me not say mistakes, a lot of unintended brush strokes. How's that? That's so much better. A lot of unintended brush strokes. This one is way back there. I'm going to make him pretty dark. Pretty dark. Yeah, Carol, I'm considering, because I have a big backlog, of doing one stream once a month. Whoever shows up, or not whoever shows up, who's ever, I don't know how to do it. Who's ever had some little token of something. On Twitch, it's a little easier because you get points for the amount of time you've spent watching somebody's stream. So on there, you can just use those points kind of as a currency. They're not really currency, but so that anybody who's been watching can use those and redeem them as they see fit. You know, as a chance to get a painting or some such thing as that. On YouTube, it's a little harder because we don't have that. And that's why I'm a little stymied what to do over here. But I'm gonna look at it, try to figure something out. I might be getting a little too much blue in here now. We might get a little too much. Let's see. Maybe I'll do. I don't want to get too far away from that blue over here. Too much water. Too much water. Come on. Drop just a little bit of that blue in there. Right on that side. In here, that folds over a little bit. There's a little bit of color down there. And this is where you can be really creative with the colors and how you put them on. These last little details in here. How do you want them to look? When the colors get lighter, your shadows have to get so much lighter. Okay, we're about done here. I think I got a little impressionistic over here. That's what I always call it. I didn't follow any kind of lines. I didn't follow any kind of rules. It's kind of an impressionist painting. Again, it's okay. It's kind of what makes it fun. Okay, but it totally... I mean, come on, look at it. We went from having that just a pink blob to something that's got all this dimension to it right now, and I didn't do this well at all here. I left way too much water, and that's going to bother me for days to come. That little bit got too much. The water pushed my color out. I'll tell you exactly what happened. The water pushed my color out, and it just pushed the color to the edge of the water bead, and there it went. And I'm not gonna do a background on this one today. What a shock! I know. I'm not a big background kind of a guy. I'm learning. I'm trying. But I'm not the biggest background kind of a guy, so I'm going to leave a background off of this. Plus, we're running a little longer than I had hoped for this show. I still do have some chores to do before I can go to bed tonight, so I'm going to not do too much more. A couple of details here and there. A couple of the veins. You can just add those in. However, I think it looks pretty good. I don't know how many people we have left. A few people still hanging out here. Thank you for hanging with me through this whole thing. I'm gonna put a couple. Let's hope I don't put a couple of lines on this one. This one looks really plain here. Needs a little something. There we go. It was too far out in the open there with nothing on it. It needed something. If I'm going to have some of these lines on some, I got to have them on all or most all. Okay, I'm going to call it there. I'm going to quit before I get too far in, and I'm just getting fiddly at this point. I'm going to sign this right here. Thank you all for joining me this evening. Everybody who's still here. Patty, Carol, Erica. I know you guys are here. Alan, hope you're still here. Bicycle Repairman, I don't know. I hope I didn't miss anybody. David, if you're still here, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I'll be back here next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific for another Watercolors with Wednesday. I think I'm going to buy you a cup of coffee or tea to our paint cafe. No, thank you. I appreciate it. Not necessary, but I greatly appreciate it. I'll be back here next Wednesday, with another video. I don't know what I'm going to do. You can check the Discord. The link's down below. There should be links down below to the Discord channel. I will be on Twitch tomorrow morning at 11 Pacific. And other than that, I hope to get a video out sometime this weekend. Please don't hold it to me. It's going to be about Daniel Smith watercolors. I've got some here that I'm going to do. And that's all I've got. Thank you all so much. Links to everything down below. Instagram, Twitter, Etsy, webpage, t-shirts, all kinds of stuff. And we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.